So this is my 1989 Toyota Corolla rally car. And I know what you're probably thinking. That ain't no rally car. That's some car he picked off the streets of Chicago because it looks freaking horrible and horrendous the way it does. But I can assure you, it started as a rally car, but like right now, I mean, she's rough. Hole in the roof, just about wrecked pretty much. But let's rewind just a little bit back to when this car was together and back when I got it.
So it's a bit of a long story, but I saw this car pop up in school one day, and I had this brilliant idea that I just need to have it. So I texted my dad, and he's like, well, you got to wait till after Southern Ohio, and if you're still out there after Southern Ohio, we'll run down and get it. Well, we're on vacation after Southern Ohio, and what better time while you're on vacation to go pick up a rally car on the way home? So we drove to this place, made a deal on it. We didn't have a trailer, so we went and rented a U-Haul dolly near a city, put it on the U-Haul dolly, and then headed 6 hours home to Pennsylvania. And it didn't even care. Had no issues. It was a long trip, but we got home and we were like, well, what do we do with this car? You know, we just got a rally car, can't have it sit around. So we decided to go to some private property that we have and absolutely rip on it. I mean, we were just beating the crap out of it. You'll see in a couple clips here, but it was really fun and learned a lot of, the car. Never came with any mechanical issues while ripping it. And it was solid for the 2.5 hours that we ripped it, so I really think it'll be a good chassis to start learning on and start building on. So that's why we're here and I'm making this video. So you're probably wondering, like, what all I want to do this car, since I said it'd be a good car to, start driving and get used to. So first things first, I'm going to be running this car in the American Rally Association Eastern Championship. And in ARA, there are two forms of two-wheel drive cars. There's open two-wheel drive and limited two-wheel drive. I'm planning to run limited two-wheel drive because it's the more or less kind of like stock class. And I don't really plan on doing anything major to this car right away. So, to continue from there, one of the big things that needs done on this car, and that was the big flaw which made it so cheap, is all of the rust. This thing was absolutely plagued with rust. So that's first on the chopping block that I gotta fix, and you'll see in the rest of this video. Then from there, we'll get the car painted, interior and underside. And then we will move on to suspension. Suspension's pretty much going to stay the same. Probably do some rally coilovers and shocks. And I will maybe upgrade the brakes. I don't know yet. It has rear drum brakes, which I'm not a fan of. So we're most likely going to upgrade brakes. Then from there, we will do the transmission. The transmission that came in this car is a Lincoln Locker, as I like to call it, a welded diff, which absolutely sucks to drive on pavement. On gravel is perfect, but pavement it sucks. So we got to fix that. And as for after the transmission, we are going to move to the engine, and I'm planning to do a complete engine swap on it for two reasons. One, because the engine in there is carbureted, and number two, because the engine in there makes a whopping, mind-boggling 90 horsepower. Now, the engine I'm upgrading to isn't a whole lot better because it's only 120 horsepower, because I have to stay within my class limits, and it has to be an engine that came out of this model of car. So I'm just going up to what they call the Corolla GTS, stealing the engine out of it, which has a little bit more horsepower, and putting it in the car. And then after that, it's buttoning all the safety stuff back onto the car, and then it should really be ready to rally. So those are the main categories of stuff we have to do. Now we just gotta get to it and do it.
So since, like, I guess the big issue with this car has been the rust, we better probably fix the rust. So the first thing we're gonna do is fix these janky old quarter panels that have holes from zip-tied bumpers, rust taking them away, holes into the trunk. Got some stuff going here that I already started working on. We're gonna get those before we do the seat bracket and holes in the roof and whatnot, because one, I have in this box here, I have the rear panels that I can use metal off of to remake the rear quarters, and because it's easiest to do at the moment, because the seat brackets I have to like switch the car around and I don't feel like spinning around right now. So first thing we got to do is get this car up in the air, because I can't work on it when this thing's like freaking slammed. Like, guys be coming up to me right now asking if I'm stacked or bagged, and buddy, I mean, I'm riding on them ghost springs, buddy. But yeah, first thing we gotta do, get this car up in the air. But before that, I gotta switch over, because I'm in regular clothes, and put on the head cam. That way you guys can come on. Now we're all wrapped up. Time to freaking get this thing up in the air. And it's kind of tight in here, because we got one tar, two tar, one bike, two bike. Tight. Come over here and essentially see what I'm doing. That's kind of a little bit too high, but first I'm gonna start on this piece here, because it's in the back. The bumper will essentially come out to here, so if I mess up here, the bumper will cover it. And you know, I haven't really done much body work like this before, so I'm gonna try it. But as you can see, or probably can't see, but I can feel here, there are some spot welds holding these, because there's like two pieces of stamped metal holding them together. So gonna grind these out first and then spot weld. Well, I don't even know if I need to grind them, because I can see them. But drill those out, pry this back a little bit, separate two pieces of metal, come down here, then down here there's a big hole right there, come to the back of it, cut and get that out of here, and cut another piece off of that. And I mean, most people would argue, oh, why don't you just cut the whole quarter panel off and it's just easier? Well, to be honest, I don't have the skill for that, and I think just small pieces and sections will be easier. I mean, let's be real here. I ain't no fancy guy. I'm just some 16-year-old trying to make a rally car. What was I coming over here for? Oh, just check the footage. That's why there's probably gonna be a pause there, some weird thing, because I suck at editing. But footage is looking good. I'm not messing that up so far. But I need to get light so I can see what I'm doing, and well, I'm not gonna make racist jokes. Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Old freaking ripper. Just refresh that bad boy up. Someone needs to buy it. I'm telling you. Even though no one's gonna buy it, because I put way too much money into it. Sad things, just like rally cars. It's done cancer-fied together up there. But next thing's next. I do believe there's spot welds across this bottom seam here too. So I'll get the grinder, take all that paint off, get some of those, come however I need to come in here, and then cut her all out. The grinder, come in, slice her right off. Here, because that's not the bestest shape. Not the bestest shape at all. Well, I think we'll just cut it out. See what I can leave this bottom piece. I would love to be able to use this bottom piece to be able to clamp on and essentially use that to match up the pieces. So, let's guess get to cutting this inner part and remake everything else. Well, let's get the little chisel out and see if I can break that apart. If not, that's gonna be quite unfortunate. So I got this freaking chunk from up here peeled off, a nasty chunk. Revealed more nasty rust that probably gonna come over to here now, come up, over, and down, and then probably have to make a new one of these. But from like right here over, that's all pretty much just like surface rust and stuff. Wire wheel down, and that'll be good, and I can use that to help get my edge there and figure out what I'm doing here to get that to line up, and start cutting pieces off of that, line them up with here, and I think I'll cut and do this just completely separate. But I'll pick back up once I get this cut out and get some pieces off of that. So now that I got all that bad stuff really cut out, take this good old wire wheel, you know, use it like this, because who needs a grinder? Now I'm gonna put it on the grinder. Grind all that good stuff off, get that nice clean metal, and go from there. And I just thought, I've been stupid this whole time. This is probably gonna be the worst video, but I mean, you know, whatever. It's my first video working on this, but I'm gonna do time lapse from now on. When I do these things I say I'm gonna put the camera down for, I'll just do time lapse, because I mean, it just makes more sense, because then you can actually kind of see what I'm doing. But like, also, it's not like real time where I'm like, yeah, but so pick you back up when after time lapse, after I get this stuff clean. So now, got the piece kind of rough cut. Got this front edge pretty much lined up perfect. It looks like there's a big gap there, but I gotta trim this top off, and then it'll be a small gap, but that's what you want. But to get this top line, it's gonna be tricky. So I'm gonna see if I can get it from inside the car, get at least this top kind of figured out, and then I'll work on trimming all of this back here up, and then especially down here, because it's gonna get wacky. Then once I have this, I can start building up. Let me see if I can get the light here. See if I can start. See if I can get you guys the right camera angle. See if I can start building up you see that rust there at the very bottom. See if I can build that back out to the fender there, like my dad was talking about. But if not, I'll just run it all out to the fender, seal it up. I mean, it'll be closer. Like this bottom seam. That bottom seam right there will end up being closer like that way, because I gotta pinch it in more. But to get that top thing, I could probably trace it from in here, to be honest with you. It's not a bad idea. I think I'm gonna do that. Trace it from in there. But this front part's also gonna get wacky, like right around there, but nothing I can't at least try and do. So, set it back down on time lapse, and I'll get back to it. I done messed it up. It happens, you know. I think this one's pretty savable, but I don't know if you can see if I can get the lighting right, or maybe look down, but right in here, where my finger is there, you can kind of see. Right in here. So over here, and I was like, I'll use the bench grinder. Why not? See, you know how it goes. Too aggressive. Ended up catching, and I ended up waving this piece of metal a little bit, but I think I'll be able to save it. It'll take a little bit of straightening out, but stuff happens if you're not paying attention. So use the right stuff. So from now I'm using the belt sander. Avoid that mistake, but sucks. So here is another mess up I made. My fault, because I really didn't measure or mark it, which I know for the future I should. And I mean, it's this part right here, it's gonna be behind the bumper. So that, I mean, that at least saves me, but like, I forgot that there was a radius there, and I probably should have matched that radius when I cut it. You know, top was good, I knew that point good, you know. And then I really messed it up. But I mean, like, I can get it in there close. I mean, that like takes the gap down to almost nothing. Flex that back up into place, and it'll all work. It just, I think this metal also has a little bit of a skew to it. It's not exactly how this car was. I mean, this car's been 200,000 miles, so you never know what this, totally is going to be like, but at least you can see it's starting to take shape. It's not all eaten out up here and all of that and whatnot. But I'm going to squeeze this down here, mark out this, oh, little boo-boo. Mark out this piece on the bottom here, cut off this excess here, and then I can start forming this because it's rounded in a little bit because, yeah, I probably, with me forcing, with like, how much force I put on to cut it and whatnot. And down here I was twisting the metal to get it off. That stuff bends that in. I can go on the inside, bend this stuff out, make these two edges nice and neater, as neat as I can get them with the gap that I accidentally made. And yeah, then we'll go from there and keep on chugging along. I do gotta cut this piece off. This is gonna be very nerve-wracking. I may just swoop up with it, take a slight bit off of there, and there'll be a little bit of overlap in this region, which I think will be okay. But I may just have to take it super slow, mark it out, do all the right things, unlike right here. But you live and you learn. So last night I ended up getting this quarter panel patch pretty much fitted up here, as you can see. If I hold this edge up, it goes the whole way down, wraps the whole way under, and it fits. But one thing that isn't good when I drop that on the floor, but all this edge right here I had to chop out because it was all rotted away. Same with down along this edge, and then there's that big gap in there. But I need to build this down, build this out. That way I can connect it to this piece. And then once those two pieces are connected, it'll seal off the rear trunk and the cab. And then I won't have any dust in the car and then, complain about dust issues. So first things first, got to make those inner pieces so that I can attach it to the outside, and then tack the outside onto the quarter panel, tack that outside piece to those inner pieces, and then pretty much be done, seam seal it up, and then be ready to paint. The best part about this little quarter panel piece right here, I'm gonna have to use CAD, cardboard A design, to do it. So make a template with this, then transfer it onto that metal over there from the big patch quarter panel piece over there on that bench up here. And then once I transfer that, I can bend it a little bit, weld it in, smush those two pieces of metal together, weld the outer and the inner, and bam, done. So I finally got this little 90 wacky multi-directional angle thing ready to go, so I can just smack it up in there, fills that gap, and then that way I can join the two fenders together. But now it's replacing this, and this one was a big old sucker. So I'll have to see, mock some things up, see, but I don't know if I'll run a flange down the side or not, but we'll see. Because the flange would be nice, because then all the force wouldn't be right on the welds. I guess pushing the rocks would be going backwards into the back of the fender, thus putting force on that inner fender, and then it could possibly tear welds. It's only really kind of thing wrong if we go like 90, but if you have a curve and you have that flange there, you can essentially weld it in, I don't want to say it, more than like one direction or angle or whatever, so that the force has more than, force isn't, I don't know, something that my dad was explaining to me, but we'll see how it goes. Put you back on time lapse and pick you up when I hopefully have everything ready to weld. So yesterday, I got as you can see, this patch panel back on. It's a little rough, whatever. Did my best. It's on pretty good. It would need a little bit of body filler, to make it seamless and fit, but it follows the body line pretty good. Comes down here pretty good. Probably I should grind this weld back down a little bit more. But I gotta get this inside in here because my welder ran out of both gas and wires, so it made some pretty bad welds when I was welding that inside seam. So now I gotta go get some gas and wire, but can't because it's Sunday, no one's really open. So the next projects are gonna be